Feel like zapping the enemy with raw power? Look no further than tonight's episode.
Let's unleash the might and madness of elemental magic items.
That's how we roll. 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 Welcome to the Goblin's Corner. My name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And tonight,
we're talking about elemental magic items.
That's right. This is going to be a fun episode tonight because we enjoy making magic items.
It's true.
All the time. And tonight, we thought to ourselves, we need some that exhibit the raw power of the elemental planes.
Or at least something that falls into the flavor of elementalism.
Yep. And that could be quasi or para-elemental as well.
Sure.
And so we've got 8 examples this evening of ridiculous magic items, some powerful, some just ridiculous.
And we dipped our toes into the distant past for some of the quasi-elementals.
And so tonight, we've got them. You can use them. They're delightful. Let's get to it.
All right.
The first one we have, and I believe, Matt, this is your creation.
It is.
And it's something I'm very surprised they don't have in D&D, because it's a very simple magic item.
Yeah.
We're starting off simple, right?
Yeah.
You have a Cloak of Earth Gliding.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the magic item. So we've got a description, the powers, and then the lore behind the elemental item.
Right. Like we like to do.
So talk to me about this cloak.
Okay. It is an uncommon item, and the description is thus. These ugly, knobby, reddish-brown leather cloaks are often set with brilliantly gemmed clasps. Most of them are split in the back below the waist.
So an ugly-ass cloak with a really nice clasp.
Yes. Well, my theory behind that is Zorn are attracted to gems.
Gotcha.
And so it's got a gemmed clasp.
That's very interesting. What are the powers of the Cloak of Earth Gliding?
This item has 4 charges. You may use 1 charge for Earth Glide, as per the elemental ability.
Which is what?
The wearer of this Cloak of Earth Gliding can burrow through non-magical, unworked earth and stone at their normal movement rate.
So 30 feet around, you can dig down 30 feet around.
Yep. If you're a monk, then you can haul through it.
Yeah.
Burrowing in this way does not disturb the material it moves through for 1 round.
So you can do this for 1 round.
Correct.
Okay.
1 charge, 1 round.
Gotcha.
You may also use 1 charge for a minute of tremor sense out to 30 feet.
That's handy. So you just kind of go, boo, 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 like
sonar.
Yeah, like Daredevil, and just kind of see everything.
Now, for 2 charges, you can gain Earth Glide for a minute or tremor sense out to 60 feet for a minute.
Very handy.
Lastly, you can use all 4 charges for both Earth Glide and tremor sense 60 feet for 1 minute.
So if you really need to get someplace deep in the earth, and since you can't see anything, you got to have tremor sense.
Or if you're just using this for absolute battlefield control.
Oh, coming up and out of the ground. That's awesome. If you're a monk and you own this cloak, you are deadly, my friend.
Or a barbarian.
Oh, God, a barbarian just coming out like a shark.
Cleave with a great axe out of the ground.
I love everything about this, man.
You're like a land orca at that point.
Yeah, land orca. What's the lore behind the Cloak of Earth Gliding?
These cloaks were first crafted for dwarven guards as a means to deal with roaming Zorn that often seek the same materials as dwarves.
Yeah.
Because they eat gems.
Zorn eat gems.
Mm-hmm.
Dwarves hate Zorn.
Mm-hmm.
Dwarves kill Zorn.
They fell into offensive use in a prolonged series of skirmishes with the Duergar. And from these skirmishes, the use and creation of these cloaks was spread.
That's pretty awesome. And I could see them in many, as you mentioned, many uses, right?
Absolutely.
Now, we must say it is unworked earth and stone, so it's not like they can walk through a castle wall.
Correct. Nothing mortared together, none of that.
But if you're in the Underdark.
Or if you just go under the wall and up the ground above.
That's a good point, yeah. Come up in the basement.
Yeah.
In the dungeon.
Or at the very least into the in-between areas, right? Because the dungeon basement's probably going to have a floor.
In between the castle wall.
Yep.
And then you just kind of chisel your way in. How delightful.
Now you have something a little different. Mine's ugly, right? It's even in the description. It's an ugly thing.
It's true.
You have a fancy smoking jacket.
That's right. Fancy smoking jacket. Very rare. This is the delightful item. We're using a para-elemental plane here, in this case, smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And the description is as follows. This gaudy red body-hugging velour jacket oozes refinement and sophistication. Hoity-toity.
Oh, yeah.
It also constantly oozes small streams of smoke and smells very much like a cigar ashtray.
Because, of course, it does. It's a smoking jacket.
It's not just a smoking jacket. It is a smoking jacket.
Right. What are the powers of this smoking jacket?
+2 charisma, but only if you speak smugly.
Okay.
Got to speak very smugly if you're wearing fine body-hugging velour.
Sure.
Additionally, the following spells are available at the cost of a charge per level of the spell.
Okay.
So we've got Burning Hands at 1 charge.
Makes sense.
This is the first level spell.
Sure.
Pyrotechnics at 2. Misty Step at 2. Fireball at 3. And Stinking Cloud at 3.
Is it a cloud of garbage cigar smoke?
It absolutely is, yes. Cheap cigar smoke. The fancy smoking jacket has 10 charges and regains 1d4 plus 2 charges daily at dawn. If you expend the last charge, roll a d20. If you get a 1, it's destroyed in a puff of foul smoke.
I would say, in my game, if I were running this item, that Misty Step is in fact not mist.
It's smoke.
It is smoke. And it is the old cartoon, like
Nightcrawler Bamf,
Yeah.
smell of brimstone, but instead of brimstone, it's cigar smoke.
Absolutely.
I 100% agree, and you should totally do that in your game.
What is the lore behind this thing?
The original fancy smoking jacket was owned by Mr. Glorben Crossbow, a half-orc guildmaster and the owner of a very successful restaurant tavern chain called the Drunken Giant,
Ah, I see.
which happens in our game.
Sure.
Drunken Giant is all over the place, like McDonald's. After his sudden disappearance into the world's largest ale tankard, replicas of this fancy smoking jacket were created in memoriam.
This to me indicates a plane of ales,
Mm-hmm.
and that enough people liked him that they felt the need
To create something in memoriam to him.
Yes.
I agree. He was well beloved.
Absolutely.
Everybody loves the Drunken Giant. He was
Sure.
the creator of it, right? So yeah, that's the fancy smoking jacket. Next up, Matt, you've got a rare magic item, and I love this. It's just a snow globe.
It is in fact a snow
But
globe.
it's more than just a snow globe.
Right.
Talk to me about this snow globe.
All right, let's start with the description. Much like you might expect, this crystal ball containing an idyllic or whimsical, depending on who makes it, scene is set on a gilded base.
It's a snow globe.
Right. Occasionally, they're known to be dimly lit as well as shedding the light of a candle, because some snow globes are lit from the inside.
Absolutely. We've got this dirty-ass snow globe or a beautiful snow globe, depending.
Right, it's a snow globe.
It's a snow globe. You pick it up and shake it. How do you activate the powers? Is it picking up and shaking?
It is, in fact.
Tell me about it.
Upon shaking the snow globe, it conjures a blizzard for 1d4 rounds in a 60-foot radius.
I love that. So you pick this thing up, you shake it, and I've visualized the snow disappearing from the snow globe
Absolutely.
and turning into a blizzard everywhere
Around
else.
you. Yeah.
Yes.
If the snow globe is shaken very hard, it summons an ice storm as per the spell, once per day. Both effects are centered on, but do not affect the user.
That's pretty handy as well.
Yes.
I love that. So shake it up, summons a blizzard, obscures your vision, it's cold, probably slip on some ice.
Yeah.
Shake it really hard, it summons an ice storm, which damages the hell out of you
Well, out of them.
and sucks.
Yeah.
Just sucks. What's the lore behind the snow globe?
Xerpes of the Chillblains created the first of these to arm his bodyguards with, as his wards against cold and ice were legendary.
Okay.
The original set of 6 came with rings preventing any guard from being affected by any of Xerpes's snow globes, so that all 6 of them could use them independently without worrying about hurting the other guards.
Oh, I see. So even though they shake their own, they weren't affected by theirs. The rest of the guards would be affected by,
Right.
because it's only the one that you're holding that you're not affected by.
Correct. But with the rings, none of the ones that he created affected anyone wearing the ring.
That's pretty damn handy and very interesting. I see this as lore for a white dragon, like maybe treasure for a white dragon.
I can see that.
That'd be kind of neat, right?
Sure.
You defeat the white dragon, there's a snow globe in his lair.
Maybe shaved white dragon scale is what they use to make the snowflakes in the snow globe.
Maybe so.
Could be interesting.
Or crushed mephit.
Sure. Next up, though, we have an Ooze Tube.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
It is a rare magic item, elemental, and the description is as follows. This is a very interesting one because you don't see a lot of ooze objects.
No, you don't.
So this is why I created this. This opaque, magically hardened glass tube is capped on both ends and is slick to the touch. Strange symbols adorn each cap.
Okay.
So imagine a glass tube.
Sure.
It's got some ooze, possibly green.
Sure.
Secrets of the ooze, perhaps?
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it.
You know what? It should even glow.
It should.
It should glow. It should glow like a... it should go like a glow stick in the dark.
Nice. Absolutely.
So just enough light to piss you off, but not really reveal anything.
Sure. And unlike Secret of the Ooze, you were smart enough to magically strengthen your glass.
Absolutely.
Because those things break all the time in the comic books.
Yeah. Shatter everywhere. And next thing you know, you're a Ninja Turtle.
Yep. What are the powers of this Ooze Tube before we get too far off track?
Ooze tubes have two distinct abilities, slick and slime.
Okay.
So let's talk about the slick version. Uncapping the slick end of the ooze tube releases a large quantity of slippery, mucus-like substance, enough to cover a large-sized creature or object.
Sounds awful.
How appetizing.
Sure.
This functions exactly like a grease spell if spilled on the ground,
Okay.
or if it's covered by a creature or an object, it provides a +2 bonus to the appropriate skill check. So athletics or grappling or whatever it is to escape from something. Or to slick your way, through bars, stuff like that. Slick evaporates after 1d4 rounds.
Makes sense.
It's magical.
It does that.
Because magic.
It goes back to its plane.
We also have the slime cap. Uncapping the slime end of the ooze tube releases a large amount of semi-congealed acid, enough to cover a medium-sized creature or object.
Okay.
This functions like green slime acid, which does 1d10 points of damage per round, or if it's made of wood or metal, 2d10 points of damage a round.
Nice.
And it lasts for 1d4 rounds before dissolving.
Sure.
Once again, ooze tubes can be used 3 times a day.
There you go.
So you can either slick yourself up when you go in to grapple something or maybe get through, a confined space, or you can melt something with it. Yes.
Screw your portcullis.
Both of them are types of oozes.
Yep. What is the lore behind an ooze tube?
Ooze tubes were created by a local thieves guild, the Night Wyverns, in order to better enter and exit buildings, get through locks, and dispose of bodies.
That makes perfect sense.
It's everything a thief would want, right?
Yeah, no notes. It just makes perfect sense.
I can get through the lock by dissolving it. I can squeeze through tight openings by slicking myself up or evading guards, right? Throw some grease down. And then if I kill someone, you won't find the body. I'm going to acid it.
Sure.
All good. So that's the ooze tube.
It's like I said, it makes perfect sense to me. No notes. It's great.
Speaking of something else that makes perfect sense, we have what tonight, Matt?
The question of the week.
All right. Hand it to me. What do we got this evening?
So we're going to, I like to A, keep it on theme, but B, talk about like what personally you or I would do with a thing or an idea. What elemental weapon would you favor and what form would it take?
I'm going to go for something different than my usual it should shoot fireballs answer.
I was going to say magma hammer, but
a magma hammer would be delightful, but I'm going to actually go with a thunder glove that you just slap somebody and it just kapow slams them across the lawn.
Sure.
With a thunderclap.
Yep.
Literally a thunderclap.
Yeah.
You get 2 of them. How awesome would that be?
Do the Hulk clap.
You see yourself in a tavern, someone's talking smack, you just put these white gloves on, a little bit of ozone sent to them, and you just slap your hands together and it just blows them across the room.
Yes. And in my head, because my brain works like it works, it's obviously got a silver lining.
Oh, yes, 100%. I also think, how awful would it be if you boxed somebody's ears with those things?
Oh, yeah.
And their head would explode like scanners.
Sure.
What about you? What kind of elemental weapon would you favor? And what would it look like?
Well, first off, I am a staff person. I like them. I already have very long arms because I'm a big dude. So why not add extra reach?
You got bow staff skills.
Yep. It's my weapon of choice. Because I also enjoy the occasional aesthetic choice for no other reason than that, a column of water.
Sure.
Just like solid water, not frozen.
Just moving column of moving water.
Yes.
That's a blunt instrument that you beat somebody to death with.
Yes, with fish and everything, right? Like
yeah, it's got to have fish. Maybe a little octopus every now and then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Starfish, something like that.
Yeah.
Some seashells.
A couple of little glowing jellyfish occasionally. When night goes down, they turn into bioluminescent
Of
fish.
course they do. And it's got to have like a little fake boat that floats and sinks.
Sure. Because, reasons, like literally just for the aesthetics of it.
I love everything about that. That's awesome. Get beat to death with a water bow.
And I wouldn't trust me walking, like if I'm using it as a walking stick, like even in a fantasy world, let alone the real world, but in a fantasy world, if I see a dude walking along the road with a column of water as a walking stick, I'm leaving him be.
Not to be trifled with.
I'm just letting it go. How you doing? Have a good day.
Yeah, that guy's not to be messed with, let me tell you. What would your answer be to the question of the week?
I want to know. I want descriptions. I want reasoning. I want to know what the answer to this
100%.
is.
Hit us up at Goblin's Corner on all the various socials. And of course, you can always do what, Matt?
Comment down below. That's what it's there for.
That's right. So we're talking elemental magic items, and we've got 4 other amazing elemental magic items. And Matt, the next one up is yours. It's called Pyrogris.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about Pyrogris.
All right. The description, such as it is this lumpy, red, wax-like substance smells of spices and bird dung.
Okay. Sounds awesome. So we got this red, waxy substance that stinks.
Yes.
Talk to me a bit about the powers of Pyrogris.
All right. Pyrogris can be smothered onto a generally metal weapon, which takes a round.
Okay.
Once covered, the weapon bursts into flame, giving it the flame tongue quality,
Ooh.
which is 2d6 fire damage and sheds light in a 40-foot radius for 1 hour.
So it's this waxy substance, kind of like napalm, really.
Sort of. Yeah.
Smothered on a weapon, it bursts into flame, and you beat something to death with it, shines light.
And when you get it, it can cover 1d10 weapons before it's used up.
That's pretty
depending
handy.
on how big of a section of it you get.
I say you cover a little bit in a flaming mug for bartenders.
Sure.
That would be kind of fun as well. Or imagine putting it on a catapult, like the big rocks.
I'm going to say that's going to take a couple of uses.
Sure.
But yes.
A lot of fun uses. I'm just thinking I could smear it on the ground, have a wall of fire.
Sure.
I'm thinking all kinds of applications behind this. Talk to me a bit about the lore. How was this created?
Like ambergris, Pyrogris is a naturally occurring vomit from a titanic fire-based animal.
Okay, so it's literally fire elemental puke.
And it's worth a lot because it's used for very specific purposes.
Like ambergris, which is from whales.
Right.
Okay.
In this case, it is regurgitated material from a phoenix.
Oh.
These phoenix pellets, like owls make owl pellets, right, are highly sought after and fetch a high price on the market due to their unusual creation and incredibly dangerous acquisition.
Yeah, because anyone who's ever crossed a phoenix probably is in for it.
Right. Sages speculate that Pyrogris can be crafted from other fire-based creatures as well.
Interesting.
So, if your players want to attempt to experiment with that, feel free to let them.
Yeah, DMs, make other creatures create Pyrogris.
Next, we have an actual useful item that, I mean, the other ones are useful, but there was a caveat to that stems from a very long-running joke.
Yes, this is totally a long-running joke, and I'll explain the joke as well, because no one's going to get it otherwise.
Sure. Tell us about the steam pellet.
Okay. First off, the steam pellet is an uncommon magic item.
Okay.
So there's several of them. And here's the description. This small, easily crushed, grayish cylindrical ceramic object smells faintly of oil and something organically unpleasant. Can't really put a name of it.
Right. You can't get your finger on it.
But you don't really like it.
Yeah, it's unpleasant.
Yeah.
What are the powers of this thing?
Favored by extrovert warriors and introvert rogues, the steam pellet is useful as a diversion against foes or a handy escape. When the steam pellet is crushed by dropping it or crushing it in your hand, it creates a massive cloud of steam as per the fog cloud. So centered on wherever the pellet is crushed.
Right.
So if I crush it, poof, right? Steam emits. Additionally, due to the badass nature of the effect, because You're in this badass cloud of steam now.
Sure.
Any individual emerging from the steam gets a +3 bonus on their attack and damage until the encounter is completed.
Okay.
Now, this comes from my observation of anime.
Right.
As anyone is well aware, whenever you're in an anime battle and someone steams, they usually undergo some kind of transformation or something like that. You ever see them walking out of steam, they're now more badass than they were, and they beat the crap out of whatever foe they have. So my theory is this. He who steams the most wins the battle.
Sure.
And so the steam pellet is literally just that. They go, Guyver!
I was just about to say, and if you don't believe it, watch Guyver.
Guyver is definitely one of the examples.
The primary example.
They walk out of the steam, and now they're badass. Also, Batman.
Sure. What is the lore behind this?
Funny you should mention that. Steam pellets were actually invented twice. Once by a combat-oriented artificer who favored power armor and justice.
Okay.
And the second by a crime-fighting gnome who dressed as a crow and also favored justice.
There you go, folks. The steam pellet.
From the depths of my brain. He who steams the most wins the battle.
Verifiably true in anime.
And knowing is half the battle.
The other half is beating the guy up.
Matt, you've got a legendary item next.
I do.
And I got to tell you, this is pretty awesome.
Depending on which side of it you're on, awful is the other option.
That also works for me as well. So talk to me about the Morningstar of Woeful Wounds.
Okay. The description is as follows. This hollow black metallic Morningstar is filled with a supersaturated brine, causing large salt crystals to form the spikes of this weapon.
So this mace, Morningstar specifically, it's kind of like, I see like hollow tubes or maybe just hollow holes.
Picture a wiffle ball.
Oh, okay. Like this metal wiffle ball on the end of a stick.
On a stick, yeah.
Yeah. And it just has these briny spikes.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Due to its caustic nature, wielding this weapon without heavy gloves is dangerous and painful. Because it's super saturated solution, you don't want that on your hands.
Yeah, mess up your hands, man.
Gloves.
You need some moisturizer after that. Talk to me about the powers behind the Morningstar of Woeful Wounds.
All right. This is a +3 weapon of wounding.
Let's talk about wounding for just a second, because for those of you who don't know the rules, it's nasty.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. First off, you can't heal it magically with regeneration. It can only be healed by spending hit dice and a short or long rest.
Yeah, that will wreck a party.
Which is why this should be a hard-won prize.
It also does necrotic damage as well.
It does. You can use a charge to do 1d4 necrotic damage, and it creates a bleeding wound for every round after that, unless you make a 15 Constitution save
or like a medicine check or something like that.
15 medicine check.
Yeah, so it's not to joke around with.
No,
it's why it's a legendary item. But in addition, you've got a couple other abilities as well. Talk to me about those. Because
this isn't just wounding, this is woeful wounds.
Yeah, woeful.
In addition, any attack made by this weapon imposes a -5 to any concentration checks caused by the damage of this weapon due to the increased pain of the salted wounds.
Because you're getting a salt spike in your wounds. So you're literally rubbing salt into the wounds.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's both.
That's awful and awesome.
Also, 3 times per day, you may swing this weapon to make a ranged attack at 120 foot as the spikes of salt are released from the mace. The spikes reform immediately. A successful hit deals 5d6 points of piercing damage.
Cool.
You just swing it and the spikes disengage.
Just pierce the villains.
Yep.
Or the heroes. If you might be a villain wielding this weapon. Certainly woeful wounds, this is something the paladin's just going to, pick up and start using occasionally. Unless it's a paladin of pain.
It's true. Like a glory paladin, I can definitely see you using
Paladin
this.
of Leviatar.
Nice.
Think about that. This would be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be perfect. I love everything about this. Tell me the lore of the Morningstar of Woeful Wounds.
All right. The Salt Mephit warlord, Nocquis the Pale, requisitioned this weapon as a response to a magic-using rival attempting to remove him from his throne.
Appropriate response there. Oh, you could try to Mess me up? Okay, cool.
Okay.
I almost feel like it has some kind of engraving of assault method on the actual mace, too. Maybe on the handle or something like that, or on the hilt.
Sure. Or maybe like salt method hands holding the ball.
Very thematic.
Oh, the counterweight is a method head, and it comes up on the pole, and then the hands are holding the ball.
Absolutely.
Yep,
I love everything
that's the
about that. Very cool. You're welcome, folks. If this comes into your game, blame Matt.
That's all right. I don't mind. That's what I'm here for. Tell us about the Flashdance Boots.
All right, this is the last elemental item that we have. These are rare boots. The description is as follows. These gaudy boots practically glow with pent-up power and static electricity. Zzz, zzz.
Mm-hmm.
A scent of ozone and feet waft from them.
Because any shoes that are that shiny and that filled with static are also going to make your feet sweat.
Yep. And in my head, they kind of have like the 80s puffy boot, maybe like from Flashdance.
Sure. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the powers of the Flashdance Boots.
Okay. First off, you get +1 to your initiative. They're Flashdance boots. Got to move fast, right?
Sure. Makes sense.
Additionally, the following spells can be used once per day. We can use Thunderclap.
From the static. Okay.
Expeditious Retreat.
Because they're Flashdance. Okay.
Lightning Bolt, which comes from the boots. And when you think of that visual, you're like doing a little dance and it just...
The visual I actually get is little kids in dress shoes dragging their feet across the carpet.
And static electricity builds up, just zaps somebody. I love that. That's great. And then finally, Thunderstep, which if you don't know what that is, you teleport and kaboom.
I think all of those make sense and would make them a lot of fun to have.
Very thematic.
Indeed. What is the lore behind these boots?
Crafted by the infamous dwarven stand-up comic Whistledown Belforge, these boots were used both on stage to impress the audience and off stage to run from his not-so-impressed audience.
It could be great, but on the night you bomb, it's good to be able to get out.
I kind of see him being an asshole comic. And so he gets some hecklers and he says something.
Andrew Dice Belforge?
Maybe just heckles back and he heckled the wrong person in the tavern.
Sure.
Got to make a hasty retreat, right?
Absolutely.
Expeditious retreat. Maybe he gets waylaid, has to do a little thunderstep.
Yeah, you don't counter heckle the barbarian.
No, that could be very painful.
Yes, indeed.
So there you have it. 8 elemental magic items for you to use in your campaign. Some ridiculous, some deadly, all of them flavorful.
Yeah, all of them fun.
All of them fun. Any questions or comments, hit us up at Goblin's Corner on all the various socials. Did you enjoy this podcast? We've got a couple more teeming from the elemental void. Subscribe to them on your favorite player, YouTube, and Twitch.
Click the 5 stars and give us a review on iTunes, Podchaser, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. And on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. It gets our show in front of more people, and it feeds the hungry algorithm.
Which is currently finishing with a off-colored joke, angering the audience, and he steps away with a kaboom.
Kaboom.
That's how it works. That's all the time we have for tonight. Once again, my name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
We'll see you next time.
Good night, folks.
The Goblin's Corner is written and produced by Eric Holden and Matt Staples.
Show song by the Mighty D20.
What a wonderful guy.
This is a Subterranean production.
The end.